right, so good afternoon. My name is Barry Sarkissian. I'm here with retired Judge Maurice Gallipoli, former assignment judge of Hudson County and other positions in the courthouse before that, and a well-known trial attorney serving with his office in Hudson County. Welcome, Judge Gallipoli.
Thank you, Judge Sarkissian, and if you don't mind, I will be able to display my socks, which you took exception to begin with.
Okay. I'm ready. The initial foray, true to form, has already taken place, and I'm sure I'll be skewered many other times before this interview is completed, but
Just want you to know they're happy socks.
Well, we're happy to have you here.
Good.
So your socks have conveyed that whole message, and we appreciate that, Judge Gallipoli. Where do we start? Let's talk about your Hudson County roots from the very beginning as a young man, child, family. Tell us about that a little bit.
Born in Jersey City at the Margaret Hay, probably like thousands and thousands of others. Born in 1942 to immigrant parents. Went to grammar school in Jersey City. Lived on West Side Avenue, across the street from the Holy Name Cemetery. Went to 17 school on Duncan Avenue for grammar school. After 35 school on Sip Avenue. Then went to Dickinson High School.
These are all within walking distance of where you were living?
They were.
Mm-hmm.
Went to St. Peter's College, which was in walking distance too. And then went to NYU Law School, which was not in walking distance, but was a trip by the Hudson Tubes at that time.
How about getting to St. Peter's College, which even at that time was on Kennedy Boulevard, of course much smaller than it currently is. How was that? Did you walk there?
I walked. It was 2 blocks away.
2 blocks away, yeah. Yeah.
Dickinson was more of a walk. It was past the courthouse here.
Does the I think about that. Not to, again, I'm not being interviewed, but I lived in Hudson County, West New York, and when I went to St. Peter's College, it was getting on the Kennedy Boulevard bus from West New York, New Jersey, traveling through Journal Square, and getting to St. Peter's College. And my thought was, since they didn't really have much of a campus at the time, that I was entering the campus as I passed the church tower at St. John's Church before Journal Square. I said, well, I'm now entering the campus. But at that time, I think the buildings when you attended were even less number, I think, than when I attended from 65 to 69.
There were 2 buildings on the boulevard. West side of the boulevard, and there was the priest's residence across the street. There were no dormitories at all. There was Rankin Hall, and there was Deneen Hall, and that was about it.
Right.
So that was it.
So you graduated from St. Peter's. You went to NYU Law School, graduate, and now you're a lawyer.
Yes.
And how'd you start your career?
I applied for a job at the Hudson County Bar Association, working there, and well, maybe not even working there. I saw an advertisement there. I was studying for the bar review course, or studying for the bar exam. So this would be around June of 1966, and there was an advertisement in the Bar Association library for a law clerk position, working in the library at a firm called Lamb, Blake, Hutchinson & Dunn, which was then located at 70 Sip Avenue, Jersey City. I applied for the job, got hired, and worked in the library until the bar results came out in November. And
what year is that?
66.
Okay.
And at that particular point, there was they were looking to hire an attorney, and they hired me full-time as an attorney once I had passed the bar exam, and I got hired by H. Curtis Meaner, who then went on to be a state court trial judge, appellate division judge, and federal court I stayed there for 20 years.
Well, that was a big chunk of the career, wasn't it?
It was.
And of course, I know about it, and many of the people in the Bar Association, older members, know about what you did while you were there. But for those who may be watching this video on our website for the Hudson County Bar Association and don't, tell us some of the highlights and some of the areas of law that you got involved in.
Well, first, I just started to try automobile cases in the district court, and sometimes you would try 2 cases in a day. That's how quick you could do them.
Do you remember some of the judges you appeared before at that time?
I do. I tried, in fact, the first 2 cases I tried to a jury, I tried 2 cases in 3 days before Judge Harvey Smith in Bergen County. I lost both of those cases to the same plaintiff's lawyer, both cases that I should have won. And I lost them, and quite frankly, I called up the senior partner at that time at the law firm and told them I'd lost the second case. And they said, I don't think I'm cut out for this. And he said, why don't you go home, have a drink or have something, wake up tomorrow morning, the sun will still be shining, and we'll still let you come back here and work. And I did. And that was it. And that was Arthur Blake, who also went on to become a Superior Court judge from that law firm. And eventually, when he went on the bench in 1973, I became a partner. And before that, and then after that, until I went on the bench, I primarily did defense medical malpractice litigation work.
Well, again, that's you're around the same time when you became a partner. I had just graduated from law school, and you became well known in the county, if not the state, on your tremendous work as a defense counsel representing doctors in medical malpractice cases.
Thank you, I appreciate that, but you don't really look that much younger than I do.
Barb number two, but it's fine. It's with good humor, and we appreciate that. Let's see if we can generate some more bone on me by you getting back to what you're about in your career, and tell us about anything that stands in your mind as far as an interesting case or perspective that you had in doing your defense work as a trial attorney, handling medical malpractice cases.
I was a journeyman lawyer out there just working, trying a lot of cases, and that's it. I mean, you know, there were special cases that I tried against certain lawyers. I tried a number of cases against one of the better lawyers in the county at the time, who was Rocco Lopiano. Despite the fact that we were adversaries often, I became a close friend of his. It was just a nice place to practice, and I didn't just practice in Hudson County, I practiced statewide.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And quite
was-
frankly, I liked Hudson more than I liked any other place, but I did go to other counties.
Tell us why.
Because the carriers that I did work for had cases in multiple venues, and if I was assigned to handle that particular case, I went wherever the case was venued.
Yeah. Let me just say, you haven't really listened to my question, or the pronoun and the verbiage weren't tied together. My question is, why did you like Hudson County more than other counties?
I liked Hudson County more than other counties. To repeat the question before I give the answer, I liked it more because, quite frankly, you did not get hometowned in Hudson County the way you got hometowned in many other counties throughout the state. So that if you weren't one of the favored sons in a particular county and you were an outsider, you didn't get the same treatment that an outsider would have gotten in Hudson County.
So,
Clear enough?
it's very clear and very precise, but did you find it incongruous to have what I'll call a stellar standard of honesty and integrity that took place in the courthouse, while at the same time, the classic reputation for Hudson County throughout the state, if not the United States, politically was, well, seat of corruption. Was that incongruous in any way from your view, and how do you account for that stream of integrity in dealing with lawyers from all over the state that came into Hudson County?
I just think that the people who ran the court system in this particular county were not of the same ilk as the political people, if you will, who garnered the bad reputation for the county statewide and countrywide. I think the judges and the support staff here in the county were just very ordinary people who were very fair and who basically didn't play favorites. If you were straight with the people here, they were straight with you. The worst thing you could do in this particular county, in my experience, was either lie to a judge or lie to the staff. Big mistake.
Mm-hmm.
If you were straight with them and basically admitted that sometimes you screwed up and you needed some help, they were more than willing to give it to you. Other places, not so friendly.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a good segue into your career as a judge in various capacities.
Not too many various capacities.
Well, enough to have me want to ask you questions about it. And that ethic that you experienced as a lawyer is an ethic that you continued as a judge, including your position as presiding judge and assignment judge. And again, as I recall, you became a judge for the first time that you were appointed to the Superior Court judgeship in 1987, I believe.
Correct.
So before we talk about how that happened and your experience and your decision to do that, talk about your perspective and wanting to continue that ethic of honesty, integrity, and how lawyers are dealt with in those positions. Did you continue it? I know the answer to the question, but I want
The
to
answer is yes, obviously.
Yeah.
I was not the easiest person to get along with as a judge on the bench, if you appeared before me. I don't have a warm and fuzzy reputation out there in my interaction with the bench, or quite frankly, with the bar. I mean, I'm sure there are many judges out there, presently still on the bench or retired, who don't have the highest opinion of me, and I'm sure there are lawyers out there who have a similar attitude towards me. That's just the way it is. What you see here is what you get. Make no pretense about it. I could be difficult, and I admit to it, but I don't think I purposefully tried to hurt anyone. But to say that I was easy to get along with all the time, that would be a big, big misstatement.
Well, let me not ask a question, make a statement. And that is that with respect to, notwithstanding the lack of fuzziness, which I'll acknowledge, in terms of the judge.
You know it personally.
Oh, well, yes. You have marks on my the top of my head to mark to point to that, but the perspective of notwithstanding your non-fuzziness, a person or judge, as presiding judge and or assignment judge, of someone who could be approached and told about a problem, whether it be medical or personal or a screw up about a specific case and needing some help and consideration. You were very approachable about that, and I hope and I think you're all aware of that.
Well, I think in the position of judge, presiding judge of the civil division, which I was for years and years, or assignment judge, the rule was that the door to my chambers was always open. You didn't have to make an appointment to come in and see me. If you just walked into the outside of my chambers and said you wanted to see me, if I was in the chambers, I would simply say, come in and tell me what the problem is, and we would discuss it, and if I could sort it out, I would. There are many places in the state today, either because of security concerns, which always boggles my mind, or other concerns, where to get in to see the judge, you basically have to, make an appointment 30 days in advance, similar to a restaurant, and basically come at the appointed time, or you have to see somebody else before you can actually see the person you really want to see. To me, that's sort of ridiculous, but that's the way it is, and I know it is that way, because people tell me that's the way it still is, and I know it was that way when I practiced. And it was not really like that in Hudson. And I don't even think it's like that today with Judge Maurice. I think if I walked over there right now, or somebody else walked over there right now, they could walk into his chambers and tell Susan, his secretary, that they really needed to see the judge about an important problem, and he'd probably say, if he had the time right then, come in, let me know what the problem is.
Well, I can validate that too, being now as a judge for the last 13 and a half years, but I do know that before I became a judge and you were assignment judge, when I had some issues that I approached you about. So we thank you for that, and we thank you for creating an ethic which is continues today. So thank you for that, Judge Gallipoli.
You're quite welcome, Judge Sarkeesian.
Let me turn back before you talk about your judgeship and things that happen here in this building where we sit right now. The restoration of the Brennan Courthouse, I believe before you became a judge, and might have been even when you were president of this bar association, that you played some not small role in the steps taken towards restoration of the Brennan Courthouse. Can you tell us about that?
Well, I think it was during my tenure as president of the Bar Association. I don't want to take away from any other president, but during that period of time, the building became functional again in '85. And the thought was that the building needed to be renovated. Obviously it had been vandalized and become a derelict building over the years. It was finally saved by the efforts of some concerned citizens just before the wrecking ball was about to hit it. And then they got a lot of CETA, I guess it's CETA workers, who came in and trained and basically restored the building over a number of years. And in close to '85, when the building was going to reopen, I came through here for the first time. I had never been in this building before, but I came in it during the sort of final stages of the restoration, maybe 6 months or a year before it actually was going to reopen. And I was just amazed at how beautiful this building was. And the idea was to move the civil division, get the courts to move the civil division here. And I'm trying to remember, it was Bob Margulies and Jerry Baker had a big hand in trying to convince Marie Garibaldi, who was then Justice Garibaldi, to move her chambers from, I think, the Mutual Benefit Life building in Newark to chambers here on the 3rd floor, the beautiful chambers that are right below us. And I remember that negotiations with her took place, and her one condition for moving, at least one of the main conditions, if not the main condition, was that no criminal trials or cases would be held in this building if she were to move her chambers here. And that was a no-brainer. It was agreed to, and she eventually moves here and has her chambers here. And we have appellate division chambers too. And I'm trying to remember whether, I think Judge Bilder was already on the appellate division. I'm not sure, so I think his chambers moved here. And Judge Galkin's chambers moved here. I think he was already on the appellate division. And so that was the start of this building, and actually I tried my last case before just recently deceased John McLaughlin on the 4th floor of this building just before I got confirmed by the Senate. And that was the last case I tried in that courtroom, which I think is now occupied by Judge Mary Beth Rogers. And that was it. And then I was here for 25 years. No, not 25 years, I shouldn't say. I was here for 18 years.
18 years as a judge.
18 years as a judge from 1987 until I became the assignment judge and moved over to the administration building in 2004.
Did you have mixed thoughts about moving out of Brennan and moving into the administration building?
Well, there were a lot of people who suggested that the assignment judge could stay here, I could stay here. Quite frankly, given the then dilapidated condition of the administration building and its continued dilapidated situation, the thought was that I couldn't really stay here basking, if you will, in luxury while the rest of the troops were over there in that hellhole. So, you know, as a PR move, I sacrificed and went over to the administration building and then changed a couple of things over there too.
Well, that's an understatement, isn't it?
I guess.
What were some of the critical small things you did to change the situation at the administration building, if you recall?
Well, one of the things was that we put enclosures on the 2nd and on the 7th, 8th, and 9th floors to seal off what was the prison elevator from the prison holding cells or the juvenile holding cell on the 2nd floor. Because previously all they had were cardboard sliders and there was no security at all. There's not security there now. There's certainly not the security there should be now. But certainly there was no security then with regard to the transport of prisoners from the prison elevator to what was the holding cell. They actually came out into the foyer where the elevators are. That was changed after much fighting with the county, quite frankly, over building those damn things. If you recall, I don't know if you were ever there, but in the juvenile holding cells, both the female and male juveniles shared one common bathroom, which wasn't really a bathroom. It was almost akin to a hole in the ground, sort of like you see in third world countries. But that sufficed as the bathroom for these juveniles at that particular time. And what they had to do was, I think that the bathroom was in the male section of the holding cells. So they had to move the males out if the female had to use the john. And so we sort of changed that, and that was just by happenstance because they had a big leak in the ceiling of the 1st floor. And while they had that ceiling all taken apart to fix the leak and to abate the asbestos, it was thought this might be a good time to change the plumbing upstairs and fix the bathrooms. And that's how it got done.
Right, so
through the efforts of the TCA at the time, Joe Davis.
All right. I know Mr. Davis was TCA under your
correct
reign, so to speak, and as I recall, you worked very well, Mr. Davis, in getting things done.
Joe Davis was a genius at getting things done, and he was a genius at keeping me under control.
I see. Well, let's get you out of control for a second and into your role as a judge, and again, presiding judge of civil division and then the assignment judge. Did you, as opposed to the active trial experiences and trial exposure and interaction with judges, with juries, with lawyers as a judge, I assume other of your predecessors and successors always find that there's a tremendous amount of administrative work associated with either presiding judge, civil, or presiding judge of any division, and assignment judge. How did you react and how did you feel about having this tremendous administrative responsibility and it, quote, interfering, close quote, with trial work, if you will?
I like the administrative part of I liked the administrative part of the job. I tried to not have it interfere with being able to conduct trials. When I was the PJ in civil, it was easier for me to basically still attend to jury trials and trials in general there. When I became the assignment judge, it became more problematic to basically do jury trials, although I did a couple, more than a couple, but certainly not on a regular basis.
And the reason, the distinction
Just
between the location vis-a-vis jury trials, or?
No, it
Just
wasn't the location, it was the responsibility of the assignment judge as opposed to the presiding judge in civil. You had to deal with various other problems. In all honesty, being the civil presiding judge or any presiding judge, I guess, and certainly being the assignment judge at times can be like you have the job of herding cats, to put it nicely.
What's the verb?
Herding, H-E-R-D, cats. You know, trying to keep them all.
Herding, okay.
Yes, herding, like all basically marching to the same drum. That difficulty.
Were you able to get the beat of the drum in such tenor that you were able to accomplish that objective in your view?
Do you want to answer it yourself?
No.
Okay. I think some people needed more persuasion than others to basically hear the same beat that I wanted them to hear.
I see.
And I was not adverse to basically beating the drum a little louder so that they could hear the beat that I wanted them to hear.
Mm-hmm. And most of them listened, didn't they?
I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not so sure that they had much of a choice. You know, the big mistake that people make, and again, I don't care because, you know, I'm just going to be very honest with you. You know, the judiciary, some people come onto the judiciary thinking that it's a democracy. It's not a democracy, okay? There's the Chief Justice down in Trenton. He calls the shots. The assignment judge follows what he basically says he wants done. And I expect that the troops will follow what the assignment judge tells them is what the marching orders are. It's that simple to me. It's no, this is not brain science. This is not, you know, this is not brain surgery or rocket scientist. This is just, it's not a democracy. And if you come onto the bench thinking it's a democracy, I think you're making a big mistake.
It's a good segue, I think, to the next topic, which I know might be one of your favorite topics. I don't want to be presumptuous when I say that, but in terms of...
Why should this night be different than any other night, Judge Sarkeesian?
Well, we're going to just focus on this afternoon and not other evenings. When I ask you that the so-called shots to be called, the orders coming from Trenton, there came into existence what has become to known as best practices.
Yeah.
And there we have a major revision of the rules governing the civil litigation. And you had some not small role in implementing and leading to the adoption of court rules, which have come to be known as best practices. Can you tell us a little bit about the background leading to your involvement in that, the reason why, and what your goal was in that respect?
Well, there was a committee formed basically to study the civil division. I guess eventually a committee is formed, or I really don't remember exactly how we came into existence, but a committee was formed which basically sort of studied. I guess it was the Conference of Civil Presiding Judges sort of got together and decided initially to just tweak the system, and then somehow or another we came to the conclusion, instead of tweaking the system, let's just go to day one with regard to the start of litigation and take it right through to the end and see if we could modify and streamline the system for the benefit of the institution itself and the benefit of the litigants and the lawyers. And that's how best practices came around. We basically started out with the filing of the complaint, the service, the dismissal for lack of prosecution, the discovery end date, and that whole business. And it came to be known as best practices by those who thought it was a good idea. I'm sure it has more colorful names attributed to it by those who don't think it was a good idea.
I see. But again, I can speak to this, my 32 years as a lawyer before I became a judge, and then implementing those rules as a judge in the civil division, that Hudson County, again, which was under your tutelage as the assignment judge, really does follow best practices and does get certain trial dates. And that was one of your goals, I assume, in implementing.
It was, except that sometimes those things can get carried to an extreme and people adhere to, quote, best practices despite the fact that best practices in a particular situation are not really creating the atmosphere for true justice in a particular case. So
there were escape valves.
It's not a perfect system, and it depends. It depends in large part. There should be uniformity, but there should be some flexibility with regard to the uniformity. I'm afraid that doesn't. First of all, I don't think there is the same uniformity today that there was when best practices was instituted. And second of all, I think there's probably, in a lot of instances, more rigidity to the application of best practices than is really called for in a given situation.
So we're talking, correct me if I'm wrong, when you speak to lack of uniformity and rigidity, we're talking about how each venue might be enforcing
Correct.
those rules.
Correct. Or not.
Or not. Okay. Well, you did have your imprint on that as far as the operation of this venue, and we thank you for the role that you played. I can thank you, and I know there are some lawyers that may disagree with that commendation I'm giving to you, but we thank you for your role in that regard as well.
People who watch this, if anyone really ever watches this thing, are going to think I paid you for all of these thank yous. You know, it's okay.
Well, as I indicated to you, our little discussion before, and not directly, but the purpose of this program is to get your views on different things and not my views. So one of those views may be you reacting to compliments, which I know you bristle at. So sometimes seeing your reaction to that and your bristling is something that the viewers might find interesting. We'll see.
Okay.
So let's just
Wrap it up.
Yeah, we'll wrap up by talking about your life post-retirement. Again, retired in 2012.
Yeah.
And tell us what you've been doing since retirement.
I've been working as of counsel at a law firm in Morristown, Porzio, Bromberg and Newman. I've just been doing mediation, arbitration, some other work, and I'm just enjoying retirement and enjoying continuing to work.
Do you approach your mediation with the same lack of fuzziness which you employed as a judge, or have you become a bit more fuzzy?
Well, first of all, there are people who wouldn't even consider me to become a mediator or an arbitrator because of their past experience with me, or their at least presumed the knowledge of how I interacted with the bar when I was on the bench. And that's fine. They're entitled to their opinion one way or the other. With regard to my interaction with people now, I'll be honest, they're paying me to basically put in the time with them. So am I slightly more indulgent? Yes. Am I completely indulgent? No. Do I still speak my mind when I need to? Yes. Do I still tell people when I think their position is ridiculous? Yes. But I try to do it now in a nicer way so that they're not offended, as they might have been in the past.
That's a complete answer to that question, and thank you for indulging us with giving us some of your time to share your experiences, Judge Gallipoli. So on behalf of the Hudson County Bar Association, I do thank you for that time, and we are concluded. We do adjourn.
It's a wrap.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay.
You've been very kind.